And with everything that we've spoken about, leadership from global political in South Africa, how do you define leadership? What sense do you make of leadership?
So I've read many books from a reading perspective, right? I've attended conferences on leadership. I've met leaders themselves, some luminaries, of this world who are still alive, and some of them have passed on, and so on. And I basically have seen many leaders who define leadership and heard what their definition is, right? Definitions are important because they are proxies on which we hang the way we think.
Okay.
So they are hooks and tools on which we really hang our thoughts at a descriptive level, which helps a person to understand quickly, like a 5 year old to understand quickly. But for purposes of this, I'm going to define leadership using a bit of a difficult way. So in this book, The Art and Science of Leadership, I define leadership as a convergence, first and foremost. So it is not one thing a human being or an individual must do. It's a convergence of a multiplicity of constructs. And in the main, I define it in three main constructs. So I define leadership as a convergence of your radically progressive mindset, right? It has got to be radical, your mindset. It has got to be progressive as
Progressive, yeah.
well, right? That mindset fused together with your strong belief, strong, very strong belief, stubborn, unwavering, unflinching belief in your natural abilities. And then lastly, the two, your mindset and your belief in your natural talents, protected by unshakable values. Right. So
Yes.
if you are a leader, and we go back to the ANC being called a ruling party, calling itself a ruling party, and calling itself a leader of society, they don't fit most of their leaders, not all, but most of their leaders, especially at the top, they don't fit into this definition because whilst they are progressive in nature, in terms of their mindset, the thinking of the ANC as a corporate, as a party, né, it is not radical in their thinking. It's not radical. Yes, progressive. Yes. I mean, I take nothing away from them. Number two, they don't invest, for example, in young people, older people as well, believing in their natural abilities. That actually, when you fine tune your natural talents, that natural talent, when you serve it to government and when you serve it to businesses, when you serve it to your community, it will get you paid.
Mm.
That's why you have a prevalence over the past 30 years of the ANC rule. You have a prevalence of a person who passes a BSc in science, doing a PGCE, and then becoming a teacher. Because the government actually does not believe in their natural ability, intellectual accent, to actually pass a BSc at university level for 4 years and pass that BSc degree in record time, and then they don't find a job. And then they do, and it's through no fault of their own, by the way. I'm not blaming the youth for doing that. I'm not blaming the older youth as well for doing it. They then say, okay, it's easier to become a teacher. Let me do a PGCE or whatever 1 year course, and then they become a teacher,
Okay.
right? Uh, but this person is not going to be passionate about teaching. That's not their first choice.
Yeah.
That's not their natural ability and inclination. It doesn't energize them. But God forbid they need to feed themselves and feed and feed their family. And then lastly, um, uh, the protection of one's mindset, philosophy of life, and personal beliefs, as well as their talents, natural inborn abilities, right? protected by unshakable values, right? Now, the ANC also fails there. And in fact, in the area of values, this is where most politicians, not just the ANC, most, if not all, by the way, most politicians and political parties, and therefore most governments and almost all governments, they fail in the area of values because they then gorge out that area of values because it can only be values, character, ethics. That's where I'm going. That is the only thing that can protect and advocate, not to lie and do strange things. A president, a minister, a government CEO of a parastatal, you name it, right? Who says, no, for me to hire you, you need to sleep with me first.
Yeah.
Right? It's the area of values, not an MBA. You know, we need people with MBA. Believe you me, we need people with qualifications and whatnot. But the only protection against your head, philosophy, mindset, and your heart, belief in yourself and your abilities that you were born with, the only thing that can protect these two estates is values, which is character. Right? This is why you find a doctor who smokes. Right? We live in a strange world today. You find a scientist, right, who destroys people, who creates things that destroy humanity. So therefore, how I define leadership in simple terms, right? Leadership, true leadership, is a convergence of your radically progressive mindset fused together with your strong belief in your natural talents or natural abilities, protected by unshakable values.
I love that because it also says more about the role in which government should play in our lives, right? I want to hear your view on this. Who do you think is responsible for this high employment? Do you, or maybe to rescue us from this, is it the government? Because I had a president giving a speech sometimes like it's not the responsibility of the government to give you a job and all that, you know. But who's responsible for that? For that unemployment? Do we look at us as individuals, like you mentioned along the interview, that we should also take part in leading,
right?
Because we all leader in a sense, leaders in a sense. Yeah.
All responsibility lies squarely at the door of leadership. All, right? Not some, not majority of. No, all responsibility lies at the and lies squarely. It blocks the door, literally, of leadership. It is government, right, who should be actively creating a space, both physically and soft, right? A space for employment. But what's government doing? Government is giving us in-service training. You go to a parastatal, there's just a CEO, a deputy CEO, and probably some HR person. The rest of the managers are fired, are gone. The rest of the offices in that parastatal, you only come across interns. That organization is gone. Literally gone. When a person goes on retirement from a parastatal or a government department, nobody is hired thereafter. They hire an intern. Where does the money go? You should ask yourself that question, right? But let me say this. After the Afrikaner government took over the National Party, after they took over, right, there was a poor white problem, a poor Afrikaner problem. What did they do? They used the state to uplift themselves. Where are they today? Zero unemployment on all Afrikaners. You'll never meet a white person who has got a problem with unemployment because over the years, since they took over in 1948, if I'm not mistaken,
1948,
they actually used government to be where they are today. So there is a benefit, a generational benefit, when a government does things in the present for the betterment of the next generation.
Yeah.
A typical white young woman who passed matric last year, ne, is not sitting at home unemployed at the moment. They are probably overseas on a gap year, something called a gap year. They're not worried, okay, where's the money going to come? No, all that was solved decades earlier. It was solved once and for all. And the family most probably, has money from trust fund after trust fund after trust fund. Who enabled them to do that? Government. That's why today there is a narrative as well where we call black businesses entrepreneurs. Right? Why? Because we don't understand the impact government has when they enable businesses, and those businesses thrive, and therefore the next generation is better, and the next generation gets even better. Right? And therefore I'm saying the responsibility lies squarely at the door of government in terms of unemployment. Bashle, government can solve unemployment in less than 2 years. Less than 2 years. Well, by employing young people and adult youth, what you call it, youth and dollar. Yeah. Employ everybody. Why do you have austerity measures? Why?
But how do you employ everybody? I mean, you look at this. I'm trying to see the
mechanics.
practical way of employing someone. What do they do?
Okay.
What,
I like that question. The biggest buyer is who? It's government. Who's got the buying power, the buying muscle? It's government. So when I say employ everybody, I don't mean in public sector only.
Okay.
I mean the space. Because whether you're working for a private business, right, or whether you are working for government in a pure sense, in a traditional sense, you are still paid by government, because it is government who buys from businesses in a sustainable kind of way. It is also government who provides services, and therefore through parastatals, through municipalities, government procures. So I'm saying government cannot be an absent denominator in this case. The government is crucial. You see, austerity measures are a tangent of leadership philosophy. There is something you must believe about a people over whom you govern for you to apply austerity measures and you cut spending. When you cut spending, it means government is not building things, is not building roads, is not constructing houses, and so on and so forth. I mean, let's use a local example here in Bloemfontein. You can count over 10 big buildings that are lying dormant.
Yeah.
People are actually, lighting fires inside that buildings. Beautiful buildings, by the way. Some of them are face brick. Some of them are made with those big slabs of cement. Beautiful buildings.
That's so true.
Right?
Yeah.
Who's doing that? It's government. Who's letting us down? It's government. Who's not, replacing aging infrastructure? It's government. Right? So who's going to do the servicing of aging infrastructure? It's the unemployed engineers who are unemployed right now. Government must hire them and let them work and invest in people like me and many other coaches out there to teach leadership, so that those in power know how to inspire people who are hired by government to do the services. It's a chain reaction.
Yeah.
By the way, but I need to say this. Psychiatrists, psychologists, registered coaches, registered counselors, all of them in this coaching space, ne? All of them, I'm talking all of them. I'm not leaving anyone out. They should be amongst the richest people in South Africa from 1994, or rather after 1994.
Yeah.
Because we were, as a nation, we were a people with trauma.
Yeah.
All types of trauma you can think of. But guess what? It's the scoundrels and the thieves and people who are not afraid of jail who are rich in South Africa. Why? Because they go through the tender system, which is not wrong, and then they buy their way in, they pay their way in, and the rest is history. Right? The rest is history. So I'm saying, therefore, the leader is government at a corporate level, and therefore they are responsible for creating the right environment, the mechanics, the processes, the performance, everything in terms of creating employment.
I love that. But I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm one of those people that stopped looking up from government, and I've just said. So I look at this. I'm like, if it's a national economy, I'm just gonna focus on my personal economy, right?
Right.
And one of the things that I like that we have created as community of Bloemfontein. I mean, I met you on the Hustlers group, right?
Correct.
Such a beautiful thing that that we did there, and even the guest that we had the other time. The guest that came before you, I also met him on the Hustlers
Power.
as well. We were there, you know.
Power. Yeah.
And I was like, this is so beautiful. What do you think as black community that have been empowered with a lot of opportunities? Because other people, when they come from other countries, they
Right.
look at us, they're like, you like you're so blessed with so many opportunities. What do you think is holding us back? Why are we so divided if it's part
Right.
of the things that hold us back?
Right.
Why can't we just like be the hustlers like in that group, specific group? Yeah. By the way, I should also put it like there's there's a high class individual group that is coming as via group where I will be putting people like our current guest Babu Mbusi,
Thank you.
where we share the knowledge and we
Power.
also give mentorship to those who need it.
Thank you. But I'd love to be in that group. Thank
Please.
you for the invitation.
Yeah.
Machiavelli, please make sure I'm there. All right. I think it's the promises mostly.
Yeah.
That government is going to do A, B, C, D. And we sort of, over the past, I would say 20 years, we sort of did not realize that there's no one coming to help us. There's no one coming to save us. I think we woke up 21, 22 years ago. I mean, on the 21st year, sorry. I think that's when we started to wake up to say, hey, no one is coming to save us. All these promises are actually frizzling out.
Yeah.
I think now, Batle, we are starting, if we haven't started yet, I think we're now starting to say, how can we help our hands?
Yes.
The great Jim Rohn, he says, I kept on asking for help until I realized it was at the end of my arm. So you're right. We need to get up and help ourselves, not just at an entrepreneurial level, but also as entrepreneurs who become middle class to higher class than middle class. We also need to start saying, let's spend black money, the money that we make from our hustling and our businesses. Let's spend money, Machiavelli, sending people, the right people, to make the right policies, and let those people become technocrats in government, so that we then have an atmosphere ripe for business. I mean, big business did what after Zuma? They gave Ramaphosa about 1 billion rand. They said, make sure you become president of the ANC. Right? I mean, this is open.
Public knowledge, yeah.
Public knowledge.
Yeah.
And what were they doing? They were securing their interest. And I think as black middle class, right, intellectuals, educated, progressive youth, whatever you call it, we need to spend our money even on people and be intentional about it. The 400 people that sit in parliament, we need to have a say.
It's so interesting that
Who
you also
goes
say
there?
that.
Sorry, Batle. Sorry.
Let me. Hey, hi. Hey. He can't. So he wants to be part of the conversation.
I can see.
Yeah. Please go for it, my brother.
Sorry, my brother.
Yeah. It's a big pie. Let's have it all.
Yeah, the thing is, with the problem of the government again, you are speaking on these platforms, talking to the leaders. One of the major things we were talking about buildings that are vacant that ended up being hijacked by illegal people and illegal activities.
Correct.
a simple thing. I'm sure when you are speaking on these programs, you do access organogram of these institutions.
Right.
They are skeleton.
Hmm.
They are skeleton. So a
Correct.
solution kwakona is also there. If
Yeah.
they can fulfill that organogram, because there
Yes.
are a lot of vacant posts there.
Correct.
And stop this thing of internships and contracts
Right.
and contracting young people. Yeah.
Machiavelli, when leadership fails, right, then money is spent in wrong things. And when money is spent on wrong things, organizations become decapacitated through empty and unfilled posts, right? And it becomes a hollowed out. I think it's Gogo Aubrey Machik who calls it Ispoki Sempugane. You know, you the ghost of a fly, where you see there's a fly, it's captured on the web, in the spider's web. You think it's a fly when actually the spider has gouged out everything from the inside. We sell it spoke in Sempogane.
Yeah.
And this is what happens when leadership fails. Money, resources, because that's what leadership is about. Leadership is about managing resources, not people. Not people. It's about managing resources. Are you a true and faithful servant?
Yeah.
Do you understand why you are controlling 3 trillion rand?
Circulating in the economy.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you understand why? You know, in 300 years from now, Bahle, do you understand how your decisions over your 5-year tenure, do you understand the implications it have in 300 years' time?
Yeah.
That this is what it means. So you are right, Machiavelli. Really, the organograms are gouged out. They are literally empty, and it's a sign of a weak leadership, a collapsed leadership, and therefore organizational organizational resources, financial resources have been spent elsewhere, buying Ferraris and Porsches and all kinds of expensive stuff.
Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Bash. Okay. Just in summary, earlier on you spoke about the youth who are in universities, who feel who know that after this diploma or after this degree, I'm going to this unemployment.
Right.
So you advise them to stay on, maybe do another course if time and age allows them.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what's the advice? Again, you also gave those 5 habits to the youth. But now, if someone is watching this and then they have a data, they're accessing this information, where should maybe they should knock?
Right.
Number one, it starts with them.
Right.
Leadership starts within.
Correct.
And then secondly, where should they go then in closing this chapter of leadership, especially on young people?
Right. Hey, what a way to close this conversation. If you are a young person in South Africa today, and in the rest of Africa, and perhaps in the rest of the world, and you are not waking up every day and selling something, right? There's something wrong with you. I'm telling you now, there's something wrong with you. You know, I have an online store, obviously, where I sell my books, and it's free. I don't pay a cent for that online store. I don't. And my online store sits next to Google. It sits next to Exclusive Books. It sits next to Amazon. It's free. It's there for you. You, as a young person living in 2026 today, you are living in the best time of the world. The best time. If you don't wake up with the most powerful tool in your hand, a supercomputer called a cell phone, right? If you don't wake up every day and post at least one thing that you are selling, there's something wrong with you. That's what I can say.
Thank you so much, Baba Mbusi, for gracing us with your presence and leading us throughout this conversation. Really enjoyed this conversation, although it had its own challenges. But yeah, we're gonna be in Gauteng next month. When we come back, can we please have you back? There's a lot of things that we left hanging, I want us to talk about black economy as well. Why do we find ourselves in this state of lack, yet we are the most powerful people in terms of numbers, in terms of
Numerically, yes.
resilience? I mean, we've
Right.
been resilient to many things, really.
Correct.
So yeah, if we can have that conversation, I'll really appreciate it. And thank you so much for watching this conversation until this point. And don't forget to subscribe and share. And don't forget to subscribe and share this conversation. And if you want to shoot in our studio, speaking of selling, we're selling the studio. So come and make a shooting, whether you're a content creator, whether you're a podcaster, you want to shoot your own podcast, contact us at uluya@gmail.com or asviamedia@gmail.com. Come and shoot your podcast here or anything that you would want to shoot, even if it's a commercial, TV commercial. Thank you so much, sir,
Thank you.
for gracing us with your presence.
Thank you
Yeah.
for inviting
Yeah.
me.
Yeah. And where they can find your book, please, let's talk about your book. Where can they find the book and some of the businesses that you are in for
Sure.
people that are interested to follow you?
Sure. Just type on Google Umbusi online store. UMBUSI online store. That's it. You're there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, thank you so much. And even for bookings, like when they want you to come and speak in their events. and
Even
all
for
that.
bookings, they can just contact me via the online store. That's
Okay.
still fine. Or they can even use my email umbusi ziqalo @icloud.com. So it's UMBUSI ZIQALO at
Yeah.
icloud.com.
Yeah. Okay, I almost said please stop. I cannot let you go without explaining the thing on your chest. Can you please
I mean-
explain for is it visible there, Makaveli? I please try to position your camera wait the globe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Can you see it? So this is a
Can they see? The camera? The camera, remember you're the what? The mic. Yeah, is it fine now? Okay.
can you see it? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is a pause button.
Mm.
Because I teach personal mastery to managers and executives in all sectors, right, public and private sector. It's one of the tools I use, right, to get managers and leaders, executives, to actually be able to control their reaction in the process of becoming a master, which is a lifetime of work. You never become a master, you die trying, right? So this is a pause button. It doesn't have magical powers, except it reminds you, as you wear it, that actually you are a student of mastery. And therefore, when you feel that you are under stress, you are under pressure, you're about to blow up and ruin things and lose credibility by
Yeah.
the way, you just remind yourself, you touch the pause button and remind yourself, I'm a student of mastery. I need to walk away from this so that I don't react. Sometimes you will react, you are human, but in the main, it encourages you to walk away from situations, go reflect about it, and then make positive choices. So it encourages proactivity rather than reactivity. So don't react, but become proactive. By walking away, thinking about things, come back and make positive choices.
Oh, that's amazing. Mouthful. Yeah. You've inspired us a lot just for being here. Thank you so much. I cannot praise you for your presence here. And until we see you again, as via